Yo, what's good, everybody? Joey Jayping here, checking in live, man. RespectMyRegion.com. Good morning. Hello. It's almost afternoon, everybody. And today we're on the 137th official episode of the RMR podcast, everybody. Today we've got Marcus Naramore. Marcus, what's your official title there at Leafwerx these days? It's been a couple years. Has anything changed, or are you still...
Chief Revenue Officer, you know,
we have seen a change. There we go. More
sure, yeah. So just kind of overseeing all the sales and marketing, you know.
Yeah. I mean, sales, marketing, they go hand in hand to make money. It makes sense to stick you up there at the chief move maker to get revenue, man. I love that. Marcus, it's a pleasure to have you here today. You represent Leafwerx. Leafwerx, I don't know if it's still the case. Maybe it still is. But when I was there, it was one of, if not the largest sun-grown soil oil manufacturer of vapes, specializing back then it was cured resin. I don't know if it's changed from live, but this is the conversation to get me, my readers, our fans all caught up to speed. You guys are one of the big dogs there in Washington. You've been around for a long time. Yep. Man, it's just dope to have you here and to reconnect, man. The journey has been real. I can imagine it's been crazy for you.
Yeah, dude, it's been 8 years now that I've been doing this. It feels like it was just yesterday I started. So it's exciting, you know what I mean? It's been a lot of dynamic moments happening in our company and the industry as well. And like, I've always enjoyed working alongside Respect My Region. You know, it started off with me reading the website and just to like get my hands on like what was happening in the industry. And then obviously built relationships with you guys, and you guys did some projects for us, like some content as well. I've always just been a huge fan of your outfit because
Appreciate you, brother.
Have the soul of cannabis, you know what I mean? And I've always appreciated that. So I'm excited to talk today and get caught up on what you've been doing, and then definitely what we've been doing.
Man, it has been a journey. I was a bud tender in 16 and 17 for a year. We did some marketing agency stuff for a couple, for a solid number of years over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And what an era it was for the projects that we did together. You know, a little bit of product reviews, a little features. We did a video together. You guys were a part of our original West Coast Weed Tour series out there. It's been fun, man. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know the brand. I had a little vial of your terps for probably 2 years in my fridge.
Yeah.
I was breaking that out occasionally to kind of like terp up my joints at parties. I would look crazy just bringing out a little baby thing of terps. It was so funny. And then I went back to Mitch's house and took Mitch's too.
Yeah, dude. That product was hilarious. That was called au jus, and it was just terp sauce, and it was like kind of low potency. The heads found it, you know what I mean? And they're like, "Oh, this is just terps," like, and they snapped it up. But a lot of people were just kind of bewildered by it. They're like,
"I 46%, loved it, dude."
Yeah,
I loved it, man. Obviously, those kind of things, not a top unit seller from a product retail I-502 standpoint, but damn, I wish there was a place market, because we've been around the track a few times now. We've been around the world a few times from like a longevity standpoint, from what we've seen.
Yeah.
When are we going to get retailers that just sell dabs, just like a liquor store with drinks and some snacks, right? When are we going to get varieties of retail that just move units, speak to this specific audience, right? Like, I live in LA, bro. They got $23 smoothies around the corner, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter smoothies. Like pink and purple with ube and what's the blue thing that they say? The spirulina, right?
Oh yeah, all right, gotta have that.
It's like that au jus product. There would be a place for that if we as dabbers could go get dabs at outlet prices.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? All the time, right?
I've never heard that idea before of an all dab store, and it's great. I think specialization and like speaking to a specific customer is how we're going to win. You know, I think everybody's trying to be all things to all people, and sometimes that makes products like au jus get lost in the sauce a little bit.
Yes, I'm not saying we got to go as crazy as having just a live resin store, not rosin, right, or something like that. But wouldn't it be nice to go to a corner store? And instead of them having 80 varieties of liquor and alcohol, maybe they could have 80 varieties of NA products, including hemp, including CBD, including seltzers and hop waters, and maybe even smokable products as well, right? So, anyway, I haven't even started smoking yet, and the wheels are turning. And it all is inspired by that au jus, baby. That was a throwback favorite product of mine for you guys. Now, I want to get caught up, though. It's 2025.
Sure.
You guys have are you still rocking with cookies? Are you still rocking with that collab and doing the cultivation and distribution and some of the stuff manufacturing for those products? What is your guys' current product lineup for Leafwerx, and do you have other brands? What are we looking at now for the brand portfolio?
The biggest thing, Joey, is like I know you're an OG with us because you call us Leafwerx. That was our first brand. You know what I mean? Yeah. People call us that. So since then we've kind of grown, and our company name is now Sungrown.
Sungrown.
On that a little bit more. You hit on the nail on the head, right? So like now we're kind of like a portfolio of brands. Leafwerx is kind of our original legacy brand, what got us on the map, right? Full Spec is our biggest brand. That's a live
Full Spec. That's right. That was the vapes.
Yeah. That's a live resin specialized brand, and that's had a lot of success in Washington. And then we've done some partnerships, you know, like some licensed brands. We got Cookies. We have Drops, a great edible brand from Oregon.
Yeah.
We just brought on the nature boy himself, Ric Flair Drip, and so we're selling some of his vapes. There you go. You got it. You got it. So that's the biggest story, you know, like we just kind of expanded. And I think, Joey, what we're trying to do is like we have a baseline of sun-grown cannabis, right? That makes things really consistent and clean and affordable. And we grow it farm to table. So we do it the way we want to do it. And then we have an extraction facility. You know, we can do solventless, we can do live resin, we can do distillate, we can do cured resin, like you mentioned. And that'll just get us to a lot of different product formats. And then that kind of just, you know, we have a suite of brands, a suite of products. There's a lot of different types of people who go into a cannabis store, right? You got dab head, you got your soccer moms, you got your like hype beasts, all these people. It's like we want to speak to a lot of those different folks with different products and different brands. So that's kind of like the secret sauce that we've been running over the last 8 years in Washington, and we've had some good success in it and are looking forward to the next steps, you know, nationally and internationally.
Celebrity Ric Flair Drip. For those of y'all that don't know, Ric Flair, legendary. I don't remember. Is it WWE for him?
We'll go with that. You know,
maybe even before that, that was a thing. Legendary for that. Cookies, legendary brand. What I would describe as the largest and most well-known cannabis brand. Period. Then you got to look at cannabis accessories in terms of streetwear and merch and their fashion and all their accessories that they do. They do $900 million plus according to an old podcast episode with Burner a couple years ago, a year with that. They're huge. And so when I look at Washington's market and I think about the licensing model, these structures, Marcus, let's enlighten people about what Washington's market is physically set up like. People call it, and I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't know why they only call it this. But they call it the I-502. Like it's a freeway that's like impossible to overcome. Right?
Yeah. Well, listen, the I-502, I think, is the original legislation, right? So sometimes that stuff sticks. And like, I don't use a lot of legislation numbers in my day-to-day conversation.
We don't call it Prop 64 down here in Cali. It's just, we in Cali cannabis, you know?
Yeah. Listen, Washington, the easiest way to describe it is it's like, for a producer, it's hard mode. So it's the most mature market. It's the most competitive market. So from a consumer standpoint, like you're winning in Washington. You walk into a store, you have 150 brands to choose from. You have 30 different all-in-one formats to do for, right? Like, so you have this immense amount of choice. And then on top of that, everybody's competing. So they're giving you just ridiculous prices, right? You're walking out with a high quality all-in-one for $35. You're walking out with a high quality eighth for $20, $25, you know? So it's a really highly competitive market, but it's built to last. You know, it's highly regulated, it's really heavily taxed. So but it's been stable, you know, so it hasn't had some of these issues with collections. It hasn't had some of these issues with diversion, et cetera, from other states. So, you know, it's not always the most fun environment to deal with all these regulations and competition, but I think it's made us better as a company, right? We like to compete. It's one of our core values. So I think we're like competing in Washington and battle tested for what's next.
Battle tested. I want to highlight a little bit of the licensing structures there too.
Yeah,
this is different terminology from states to state.
Yeah,
we have what's called producer processors, and then we have retailers, and then there's these distribution licenses, right? And so you don't have to tell us the exact stuff that you guys have, but what is a usual situation for a retailer to have? What's the usual situation for a cultivator or maybe a vape company to have? Let's talk a little bit about some of that structure so that way these brands can help understand Washington better, because everyone's afraid to be there. They don't
Yeah,
think that
that's right.
attractive. They think that they can't do it. Big brands like Stizzy and
Yeah,
some of these other California
yeah,
operators, they have not done so well up there comparatively to their usual
yeah.
success. And so let's try to not paint the picture for what it's not. Let's help elaborate on what it is, right?
Absolutely. Well, I'll touch on licensing first, then I'd love to talk about Washington because I don't want to put a bad light on it. I love Washington and I love the
It's a
state.
great place, and there is a lot of opportunity, Marcus.
Absolutely, and it's it's gotten us to where we go. So I have lots of great things to say about it. Licensing, it's really similar to what you mentioned, right? I think there's producers and there's processors. Producers are cultivators, processors are extractors. Usually, that's like our company. We do both, right? And when we kind of have like the integrated, vertically integrated type of style, so we cultivate and we produce. So we're a producer processor.
Does that include the manufacturing of your products, or do you need a separate one?
That's right. No, that includes manufacturing. Basically, everything you need to get it to like packaged and ready to go to a store.
Cool.
And then I think, there's a retail license. The one we don't have is a distributor license. We do have a delivery license, but it's a little different, right? Like I think distributors actually own the product and they sell it to the stores in California. Here, they're just literally delivering it. So they actually.
So does that mean Terpene Transit is not a distribution license? They're a delivery.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, like I'm a little foggy on the delivery versus distribution, but I know that's
when
different.
we say delivery, though, that's not the same as Uber Eats and Postmates. Like they're literally just a third-party transporter of the product.
That's right. Right. Yeah. So they're like an ancillary type of license. So, to help paint a different picture of why it's so competitive, there are, when I last count, there's like 1,500 producer processor licenses in the state, and there's about 400 retailers. And so that's tough odds. And there's also a situation in Washington. This is the pro of Washington. You can cultivate there, right? You eat an apple, you eat a berry, you eat a peach, you eat a pear. It's probably from Washington State. It's probably like 20 miles from our farm. In Wenatchee, the apple capital of the world, great sunlight, great water, cheap electricity, right? And so like you can grow
treetop.
Yeah, treetops up there. You know it. I drank that at 2 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the biggest pro of Washington, that we can produce enough cannabis probably to feed, the whole country, along with California. And I think like with that, right, we're trying to feed just Washington State because it's in the state. So we have an enormous wealth of great high quality cannabis, really great culture there. I'd put it right below maybe California in terms of cultural history of cannabis. Like there's some strong hash makers, some strong flower makers up in Washington.
Can't forget the glass too.
Oh, of course, the glass headquarters of the world, right? Yeah. So
the headiest of the heady, one could say.
Yes.
We got and this is not to say that influencers matter, but Custom Grow 420 was one of the original goats on YouTube for cannabis.
Yeah, there you go.
Stars Jonah. I just saw Jonah in Hawaii.
Amazing.
Still doing his thing up on stage, throwing out weed in Hawaii to people because it's culture. We have been doing it in Washington for so long that we have staples and what I would describe as cement. We got foundation in this weed shit, man.
Absolutely. So what's interesting, Joey? I think like you mentioned Stizzy and some brands that have tried to go to Washington and maybe haven't had their expectations met there. I think like I've thought about this a lot. Like how has Cookies been successful? Because that's similar type of profile as Stizzy. And I think there's a translating factor that we do well. We live there. We know the buyers. We know the competition level, and customers in Washington, man, like they don't really want to see like the latest and greatest national hype brand because they feel like they have good weed there already. Like, why am I going to pay this hype tax, right? So being able to speak to those people and have a relationship with them and tell them actually why it's interesting. I mean, Cookies genetics are fire, right? The dual chamber is a fire hardware. There's a lot of stuff that's unique to it. It's not just paying for the brand. I think that's where we've been able to.
They really innovate genetics and technology. Burner is at the forefront of all of that in cannabis products.
That's right. So
flower and ancillary.
You got to be on the ground, right? Like you're on the ground in your job. You got to be on the ground talking to bud tenders, talking to buyers, and like telling about it. And they're pretty receptive to that. I think, what maybe we're trying to avoid is just like, hey, this is available. You're gonna buy it because it's hot, and that doesn't really work in Washington,
Yeah, well, I definitely have been a part of some of those hype drops early on.
Yeah.
And to still see Washington just be tough on those types of brands.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. But cookies, people don't know this. People sleep on Washington, and or they look at cookies and they think, oh, we can do that. We
Right.
we can just get weed that's fire from there. We can put it in cool bags. We can get custom packaging for each of the strains. We can build a cool following. We can throw events, and it's like, y'all are 15 years behind Burner.
Yeah.
This guy was doing that with the real cookie strains back in the beginning in 2012, 13, 14 down at the bakery in Georgetown.
That's right.
And I was there. We were there. We were buying the cut. We were buying the strains. We were buying. I was buying $17 shatter dabs of Sunset Sherbet. Best dab I ever took all time. Still,
that is some fire. That throws me back. I think, like, listen, like, Washington customers aren't going to be attracted to like cookies as cookies, but what they do love is really good live resin and really great genetics and really great flour. So our team is just like connecting the dots there. Hey, like, cookies gives you these things that you love and they're unique. You maybe can't always get them because, like, say, the genetics are a little bit ahead, you know?
Of course. All right, we've just been freestyling this the whole time so far, so we gotta remix it up a little bit. I gotta shout out Respect My Region, you know what I'm saying? We gotta shout out Leafwerx, we gotta shout out Sungrown, we gotta shout out Cookies, we gotta shout out the entire ecosystem, full spec that you guys are rocking with there, man. I love it. Marcus, let's take it back though to you. What was your introduction to cannabis, whether it's personally or now professionally, or even both, if you can hit them real quick?
Absolutely, man. I grew up as a pretty good kid. You know what I mean? Like, I was like a good, grew up in Wyoming, and I was like a good, like, nice church going kid, didn't do anything wrong, never smoked pot or whatever. And then, like, in college, you know, I got turned on to it, and I was like, you know what? This is actually really great. I've been told this is awful my whole life. And I started smoking. I'm a big music guy. So that was really where it hit for me. You know what I mean? I love music. I love listening to music. And so, like, smoking and music is peanut butter and jelly to me. You know what I mean? And that's where I really got drawn to it. Lived in Denver for several years, you know, started like really getting into strains and understanding the fire at that point. You know, in 2016, I knew some friends, and they sent me a text of a farm they were building in East Wenatchee, and it overlooked the Columbia River. And I was like, that's gorgeous. I was like, I love cannabis personally. I love the industry. I'm fascinated by it. I want to have an entrepreneurial job. Like, let's just go talk. You know what I mean? So, like, I flew up there, saw the farm, broke bread with them, and we just clicked. And it was the right time in my life, and it was the right time in their company span, and they're ready to go to market. And, you know, I went back and was like, my now wife, Brooke, and I was like, you want to move to Seattle and sell weed for a living? And she's like, to her credit, she's like, I'm down, you know? So
let's go.
We went up there. Yeah. And it's all exciting since.
That's amazing, man. I love that. What a great, and also too, an inspiring story, right? Because it takes a lot to get to the bridge, and then a lot to jump off of it into an uncertain, you know, that's never been done before, an uncharted path, right?
You know, and nobody, I know a lot of people like cannabis, but few that like it as much as you do. I would love to know what sparked it for you. What's your ultimate connection to cannabis?
Honestly, bro, I'm pretty sick every day. I've had IBS. So first off, the earliest days of me waking up being extremely nauseous go back to my freshman year in high school. Oof. Where I'm not sure if it was just the anxiety of like my dad being a dick and like all day, every day walking on eggshells and then still getting yelled at even if you did shit right or wrong. Or if it was like me just having acid in my stomach and that was just my, you know, my life or whatever. And so, but the earliest days go back to that freshman year, waking up super sick. I didn't try. We were almost about to smoke weed when I was right after graduation in high school, and police pulled up to the park we were at. I got a crazy first almost smoked weed story.
Yeah.
And I got a pretty good first time I smoked weed story. But yeah, ultimately, I'm super nauseous. I got my medical card because of IBS. I've had Crohn's. I've had kidney stones over 15 times. So to my core, I believe in its ability to microdose and solve problems medicinally.
Yeah.
I also believe that when you look at the history of it and you really start to understand the layers and the systematic racism and violent history we have in America, cannabis was definitely associated directly with racism.
That's right.
No ifs, ands, or buts in my book about that. Yeah. And ultimately that's by prohibiting it and tying it into that, it slowed it down and people have died by the millions because of whether it's cancer or AIDS or whatever it is that it can help, or suicide. It's just been, not available to people legally. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable.
I agree with you. Listen, that's a great story. I think the medical aspect is a good first connection. I got that personal connection to it. But then once you start reading about it, right? You read The Emperor Has No Clothes, and you see all the history of like DuPont and all that. It's like, this is a really interesting situation. Like, we grew up thinking cannabis was so bad. You know what I mean? And it's been like 80 years of what I would call like disinformation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to this day, I still have the fullest support from half of my family and zero from the other due to the cannabis stuff.
Yeah.
My family has gone so far as to quote it as saying I'm part of an international drug cartel in courts, over who can babysit my family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I was literally painted as an international drug cartel member because I worked at Diego Pellicer, bro.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Going back, you feel me?
Absolutely.
Like, I couldn't babysit my little sister. That shit, I got a personal issue with how the system looks at it, how that's viewed, how traditional media painted that for years. So that way my parents looked at it a certain way and my grandparents viewed it a certain way. We're too smart, Marcus, to know how the system worked and how it used to work to get to where we are, right? And so I got a personal thing with that for sure. And I'm blessed. I was living at RMR Studio. I had gotten let go by Microsoft. I broke up, moved in with a girl, broke up with the girl, moved out of a place, and it was like all this shit started hitting the fan. And next thing you know, I was like sleeping on the floor of our studio up there in Linwood back in the day, and going and working at the homie's house and eating there or doing whatever. And basically I got hired at Diego and Leafly in the same day, in the same hour, back-to-back interviews, bro.
Like, wow, serendipitous.
I called my mom and was like, Mom, I guess I'm in the weed industry, bro. This is crazy. Like, we got to go full force. My mom was like, Joey, you don't know this really. It's like, it's in your blood though. Her dad was a part of, was a runner for the Mexican cartels, because I'm half Mexican, right?
Yeah.
And so as I've been in this cannabis journey, as it's taken me places, right, my family continues, the journey with my family continues to change as well. My grandma that passed away this last year, she was using topicals left and right. My other grandma was using it too. My super religious grandma, bless your soul, Nanny, if you're watching this, she accidentally put on a patch and just had one of the best days, and she has one of the best stories of all time because she put on this random patch that she found from her mom, so funny. And that just really would have been demonized up until a certain point. And so big shout out to the family for the support there. Going back to you first and foremost, this is an interview about you, Sun-Grown, Leafwerx. You know what I'm saying? Full spec cookies. Let's go. You guys got a really incredible reputation out there. I'm a guy that talks about, the best of the best a lot. And I know that gets associated with a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, cookies is always going to be up there in some of the best of the best. Sure. And I know that full spec performs in that best of the best category. Yeah. But when you think about your guys' products and your brands, Marcus, you think about, man, what are my bangers? What are my go-to plays? I'm the CRO. I'm the coach. I'm the caller.
Yeah.
What are your banger products? What is your best of the best products within the full spec and Leafwerx ecosystem right there?
Yeah, dude, of course. Listen, I appreciate you saying we have a good reputation. I think I just want to touch on that. Like, our first core value, is like our vision is like to liberate the plant. And for us, like, that means a lot of different things. For me personally, it's like we want to get outstanding products that represent cannabis to as many people as possible. You know what I mean? I've had a great experience with it. You've had a great experience with it. And there's depth and nuance to cannabis that can sometimes get lost in a business plan, right? And like, that's where things maybe steered more towards what moves the best, right? Like what yields the best, what's the most potent, right? But like, cannabis has some nuance, and I don't think we've ever lost that. I think we all really care about the plant as itself, and the nuance and the terpenes and the different aromas and the flavors. So, you know, that's it. That's product first. And I think partner mentality, right? Like, we're in this for the long run. We're not trying to make a quick buck and then leave. We want to build a company that's here for 20, 30, 50 years, right? So I just want to touch on that because that's important to us. And so it really, really makes me happy that you say we have a good reputation.
We've never heard, I mean, bro, you know, you do consistent work. You got the brands, you got the products, you're in the stores. We've tried them. I haven't been there to sit there and try them right now, but Mitch and I chat often about what's still out there in Washington, and I just looked through a bunch of menus yesterday and saw you guys all over the place. So
yeah,
it's very clear that, you know, you're not getting dragged through the mud, so it must be doing pretty solid work.
I appreciate you.
Washington's a quiet state. There's not a lot to be really shitting on or even really like going above and beyond. It doesn't really make too many moves. It's just about keeping your head down and being consistent at the quality.
That's right. To answer your question, what's fire? Okay, I got a couple things I can show you today.
Hit me.
This is what we just launched with Full Spec. This is the Elite Live Resin, liquid live resin cartridge.
Wow.
And then, you know, we got, it's kind of three things. It's Elite formulation. That's really where it starts, right? We have our baseline live resin. This Elite is kind of a secondary twice refined terpene layer. So what you're going to see with this is a really, really, really clear color. That's live resin.
Wow.
And then the smoke on it is very terpy and very smooth and very.
Are you refining? When you say refining, are you removing some of the harsher elements of what those the more volatile terps potentially?
Yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? And like that post-processing, like I don't want to get over my skis with that. And I also don't want to give away too many trade secrets. But I would just say they're focusing on what makes the terpene layer great, right?
Yeah.
And so this product has been huge for us. And you'll notice it's a cartridge, you know what I mean? Like all-in-ones have always been the rage, and we have a good all-in-one. I'll show you that. But this has brought people back to the basics. The reason why, Joe, is because they can see that oil.
Yeah.
And the first question we get is that CRC? You know what I mean? And color remediation. And it's not. We never do color CRC. We want to give you the real product, and we don't want to like dress it up in any way. And CRC also just kind of nukes the terps.
It strips away a consistent layer of them and makes everything taste eerily similar.
Yeah. So
here we go. Here you go. Here we go, everybody. Big boss, one of the big bosses himself. Look at that with the official grip.
It's got this ceramic hardware. We got this from Active. This is one of our longtime hardware partners, formerly AVD. The hardware does well with this oil. You know what I mean? So
will you hold it up a little bit higher for us?
That's
nice.
Right.
Look at that, everybody. How beautiful is that?
Get a little cough out of my system.
Come on, man. The terps, baby. Twice refined. Let's go.
The third piece about this, Joey, that we're excited about is we do like kind of a mixology situation in our lab. So we have a really big library of genetics that we grow and extract. Our extractor, Eric Ward, he's kind of famous for having this holy water product, one of the first liquid live resin products in California.
Mm-hmm.
He does R&D where he does blends of different extractions. So we're not adding anything. It's just cannabis, right? But different strains, he's doing blends like mixology blends.
Yeah, of course.
And so we're delivering these in these like one-of-a-kind genetics. So this one is called Flower Power, and this is a combo of GMO cookies and Minesweeper.
Wow.
And so it's really boutique, unique genetics in a really great oil, in a really great hardware form factor. And this is
it's mixing it in the end format.
Yeah.
The oils are being mixed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so then like on the all-in-one side, right, we have this product called Duality. And sorry, this one's got some R&D labels on it.
Woo! Come on, y'all. Y'all have seen some behind the scenes. RMR exclusive, folks. Let's go. Ooh, magnetic.
So, yeah, we can buy a single on the shelf, and that works.
No
right?
way. Or you could
buy a 2-pack. And then if I buy a 2-pack, right, I can buy any 2 flavors. I got the Azul Runts and the Kiwi here. Snap them together.
Woo! Twice the rip.
I'm getting twice the rip, and I'm also curating my flavor experience, right? I can pick 2, excuse me. I can pick 2 genetics and try it myself. I can my own mixology, right? So that's been what we've been really excited about from the Full Spec line. I have some other stuff to show you as well, but that's the primo, you know, that we're getting a lot.
Throw that over here real quick. Let me catch it.
I got you, man.
Let me get that real quick.
I'll get you some of this stuff delivered.
Come on, baby, man, that looks good over there, man.
Yeah.
The oil looks great. When I was initially looking at it, you know what my first question was damn, okay, you said elite. I've seen Select do elite. I've seen a couple groups do elite in these other different states. What they did historically was they would do a base layer of live resin or just HTE, and they'd put distillate as the base.
That's right.
Right? 60-40, 40-60, whatever it is. And so to hear you guys doing, you know, again, just liquid live, right? And then refining it to get that extra accuracy, I would say, or the better, more consistent hits.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. And what an incredible choice there to do the single or the double and the magnetic. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. My mouth dropped as soon as I saw that. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate it. That distillate live resin the combo has gotten really popular lately, right? Like when we
first it is. It's very potent. Don't get me wrong. I used to sell it too. So,
but that's kind of like where maybe we want to do things a little differently. Like I think that's like a good business plan to do distillate and live resin, right? It's more affordable to produce. It's a little easier to produce. It's got higher numbers, and then you can market it with a snazzy name. And listen, I those brands you mentioned are awesome companies and awesome products, but for full spec, it's always just been live resin. Nothing besides live resin will ever be in a full spec product. And that makes it simple for a customer, right? They don't have to ask questions about like, oh, is there distillate in this? Or is it seriously, this is live resin. And it always will be in this brand, you know?
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So what we're going to do is play a little game of like, it's the 3 words, right? So I'm going to no corporate answers. Just hit me with the first 3 words that come to mind. Okay. And I'm not going to try to steer it a direction, so I'm going to leave it up to you. All right.
All right.
First 3 words that come to mind when it comes to your guys' flour that you guys run through the Cookies brand.
Consistent. True to form. Oh, that's 3 words.
Hey, true to form is cool.
And smooth.
Okay. Consistent, smooth. And the form of that is true. Let's go. Okay. 3 words for your honest opinion about how you feel right now after hitting your vapes.
Happy, calm, ambitious.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one. Hitting you with the little inspired creativity with make some moves. I love that. Okay, that's fire. Okay, hit me on 3 words about the Washington State market as a whole in terms of what you'd like to see changed.
Ooh. Bud tender engagement. Okay. That's 2 of my 3 words. And then support. You know, like it's tough for a company up there to succeed, and we're kind of naked and need help. You know what I mean? We're happy to compete, we're happy to do well, but some more support would be wonderful.
Let's go, people! Support. It's free to support. Where can they support digitally, Marcus?
Oh, I think the biggest thing for us is just support us by following our pages and staying looped into us and staying tuned for our new markets. I think like what we need, Joey, in Washington is just support from the regulatory bodies and the people who are overseeing everything. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where, listen, it's built up to where it is for a very good reason. They've done a really good job to build that a stable market, but it's high tax. It's the profits are going down. You know, I'm not the first nor the last person to say this to you, I'm sure. And it's just, we're kind of left to fend for ourselves sometimes. So
yeah,
we're up to the challenge.
So people that are buying weed off the streets, please consider buying weed at the dispensary. Number 1, I can personally vouch for the quality of it. I do buy weed from people that I know doing their thing, but oftentimes, I'll be real, 9.9% of the times, the weed at the shops are better than the weed that I'm getting from anybody around the grows. That is not the case with rosin, typically.
Yeah.
And I don't see live resin being done at home very often anymore.
Yeah.
So I think you guys are in a great space. Everybody that wants affordable dabs, vapes with the in that live resin space, great option for you guys. You got to maintain that high with vapes. So definitely consider getting some Leafwerx or some Cookies or some of that good old sun grown or full spec. You know what I'm saying? Just consider all that, everybody watching, for sure, for sure. Okay, we got some more questions over here. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's go. So retailers, Washington, you talked about bud tender engagement.
Yeah.
Hit me with some of your longest running retail partners in Washington.
All right.
Shout out the retailers.
I think our first group that's always supported us since day one has been Uncle Ike's. You know, they're a fixture in cannabis. They're a fixture in Seattle, part of the culture. They took a chance on us early, and we've had a really profitable relationship since day one. I think another one, you know, Kush 21, like they used to be a single store. Now they have 12 stores, and they have a really good, really organized. It's been fun to grow with them. You know what I mean? And then I would say like another one, Cannabis and Glass, and as has been treated as well. Unique business model in Spokane, and they're
509 in the building.
That's right. You know what I mean? Those are three that come. But you know, Joe,
hit me with a Wenatchee store. Hit me with a Wenatchee store.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, we got the Happy Crop Shop. You know what I mean? They've been kind of helped their mainstay in the stay. You probably went and shopped there back in the day. You know,
come on, man. When I was I'm actually, you know, I'm a little old. We didn't have legal weed when I was in college.
All right.
I was honestly, I bought my weed from Mitch.
I mean, that's a good place to buy it from. I got to throw it to Craft Cannabis as well. They got Vancouver stores, Tacoma stores, Wenatchee stores. They do a great job with a retail experience. You know what I mean? Like they're tapped into the culture. It's not just about getting transactions in there. They're actually building an experience, and I always love that.
I love that, man. I appreciate you shouting out some of your retail partners, some of your longest running ones. You know, when it comes to that bud tender engagement, you know, for the bud tenders that might watch this when they discover you, you know, if they want to learn about your brand, if you guys send this episode to them so they can learn, you know, how can they reach out and get a hold of you guys to build a better relationship? If they want to become a Leafwerx sun-grown full-spec cookie super fan, how can they tap in with y'all?
That's a great question. Listen, like we have sungrown.com is the easiest place to kind of get tapped in. Like it's spelled SUNGROWN, just how you'd spell it.com. So you can get a really good sense of our company and our brand and connect with us there. If you're into Instagram, I'd say like Full Specs Instagram is really great place to like see the world building for that brand. It's not just about products, you know, for Full Spec, like we do like these like strain specific characters and stories, like really building kind of like a world around the product. So I would say sungrown.com if you want to learn about our company. And then on IG, like fullspec.710, you know, the upside down backwards oil. And that'll kind of help you get tapped into us. We love talking to people on the social media and like getting the people who are actually experiencing it. So reach out.
Now, I used to be a bud tender, Marcus. You know, when you only get so much time with every customer, you know, Diego is now Zips, and that's a whole different layout, right? And so it became, and a lot of these stores realize that you kind of got to get through people quicker, which doesn't leave much time and opportunity for conversation, cross-sell, upsell, how's your day, how's it going, what can I do for you, you know, how all that, right? So, but that was really my specialty. So if I had to convert to today's style bud tender and I had to spit out information quick, right? And I had the full lineup of Full Spec. I'm an Uncle Ike's bud tender. I'm at Greenside Rec. I'm at the Happy Crop. I'm at one of these stores where there's just a bunch of them, right? And they got your full spread. What's the number one strain Marcus would recommend that I recommend to somebody just first and foremost? Like if someone was going to come in and be like, yo, I need a fire live resin vape, what's the one you're recommending?
I got two answers for you. The one that really put us on the map is the famous Indica 9-pound hammer #6. Wow. And that's like a Gooberry Hell's OG combo. And that one has just had a following since day one. The terpene effects on that, I would say, are a little bit more robust than the flavor. The flavor is like your typical earthy, purpley indica, but the effects just are everything you want out of an indica, right? Calmness, but sleep, like just everything is at peace. So that's the first one. The other one I'd say is on the other spectrum is candy apple. You know, we're in Wenatchee, the apple capital of the world. So we have this really unique genetic called candy apple. It's a sativa, and the flavor profile on that is wonderful, as you can imagine. So, you know, your flavor seekers, your sativa dominant, go candy apple. But if you're looking for like the best indica experience, 9-pound hammer #6.
Let's go, man. I love that. I actually had I don't know if it was candy apple, but I had an apple cut earlier this year that was absolutely phenomenal. This weird sour, this high in the ocimene and the myrcene, high in that what is it, that limonene, and just really, and then this funkiness to it as well. Like it's almost like that rotten. It's like when you go out in winter or like fall and everything's rotting on the ground. It kind of smells like rotten wine almost.
Yeah, there you go.
Like or rotten cider, I guess. really, really odd smoke, but super racy on the body. So really,
Yeah, it might have been related. I got to ask you, I
you
chatted with you about strains about a year ago when we were going to do that collab, which we should still do. You said you're into like the candy strains or the orange type strains. Is that still what you're gravitating to? What are you smoking nowadays?
this, if I'm gonna be real, I'm hyped right now off of the piff that I got in New York.
Oh,
But I got it out in Hawaii, but the guy was Piff Coast Genetics out in New York. He had these piff strains, the original black piff, a bunch of the one that I tried was this grapefruit chem piff,
oh yeah.
and it was, honestly, dude, it was potentially it was the best fruity sativa smoking thing I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
By far, by a mile. And you can't compare something like that to permanent markers and gelato 41s and to OG Kushes. So I would still say that those round out, like most chances I get, I'm going to get a really good, Oaksterdam Marathon OG Kush, that citrus pine, a lemon pine. Most of the time I'm gonna, I'm pretty interested in getting some like a bubblegum runts or some kind of like Skittles or some shit like that. I like Osamine. I like those fruity things. I used to like, that orange, like an orange cookies or like an orange raisin. I still do. It's just, it just dominates the whole thing. And sometimes it's just a little too loud when you're out smoking in public for people.
Gotta be considerate.
For at least the other people smoking sometimes, I got to tone it down. But yeah, those are some of the bangers for sure. Vapes for me is a little different though. I love vaping. A lot of the strains that I buy vaping are going to be more on the hybrid and indica side. I do like to get things that are a little bit more fruity and orangey. I feel like a lot of runts and gelatos and that kind of stuff doesn't really get run into oil.
Yeah.
So I like to definitely play around with the fruits and flavors when it comes to vapes. A lot of sativas and maybe like one vape that's a little like heavier, I would say.
There you go. I got a question. I got another question for you. I know you got the
question. No, you're good, dude. I just don't usually get interviewed back. This is great.
So we have this vape format, right? And and CBN is very popular right now. It's dominant in edibles, right? Like it's great for sleep. Do you think a CBN vape would you be interested in buying that, or do you know people would be interested in buying that, or do they just want edibles?
I don't think I'm the person to ask. I think it's you guys. I think it's worth you emailing everybody and asking them.
Yeah.
I would say my answer is no. From a sales standpoint, while also saying yes because the data would say that like 70% of people use it for sleep, and then the gummies are a positive thing. But I just don't think you're going to get people that inhale away from the high THC, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's like really good feedback. It might be like an au jus type of product, right? Or it's like a great product, but it's like you have to translate and communicate something quickly to a customer, and it's already you and me are both kind of stoners, so we understand what we're getting into in a pot shop, but like it's kind of intimidating for just like your standard person. You know what I mean? They're walking in seeing so many products and so many brands, and it's changing, and then they're trying to make a decision in like 30 seconds. So it's like a lot has to happen in your brain for you to like confidently purchase something.
And it's a little different to eating it in edible form, depending on the cannabinoid that they're doing or the emulsification that they have going on and the science of that. I don't know. Although cannabis smoking and vaping and even drinking in tinctures typically will hit faster than swallowing an edible, I don't know that CBN in vape format, what that looks like from an extraction standpoint, whether it's isolate or if you're just or if you're just selecting 9-pound hammer strains and doing your refining process to get that to be more of a this versus that. You know what I mean?
You can go either way, right? I think like the real way to
interesting thinking here.
Yeah.
This is great. This challenges the creativity and pushes the boundaries of cannabis forward right here. And this is wonderful.
Oh, I appreciate the ad hoc market research. We can
dude, you're good. Okay, so one more question for you. You have to one more personal one here for yourself in terms of the strain. If you had to smoke one Leafwerx strain for the rest of your time, and it's not candy apple, and it's not the other one you mentioned, what would it be?
You know, I want to say like we have an AK-47 cut we've been running for years, and I love that strain. But I can't smoke AK-47 all day because I'll never sleep. So, man, this is a tough decision.
And I got some good music ones for you next, so I hope you're ready.
I know, you know, our strain library is so big. I'm going to look at our catalog. This is cheating right now, but I'm going to see if I can pull from something because
9-pound hammer.
I know my answer right off the bat. It's a Blackberry Trainwreck. It's a hybrid indica we've ran for years and years and years.
Yeah.
It hits that hybrid touch. It's got a really nice funk to it and earthiness. And then it's just like I have to choose one weed for the rest of my life. So it's got to be morning, night, daytime, right? And that one will be a rider for me wherever I'm doing.
I love that. Okay, so this is my series dedicated to kind of trying to, like, you know, get to know you a little bit better musically.
All right.
If you were going to collab with any artist, dead or alive, R.I.P. to the ones that are dead, who would it be and why? What product would it be?
Oh, so what are we talking about? Like music or
music artists? Yeah, music artists.
And are we doing a cannabis music collab or are we doing a music collab?
Music.
Okay.
Oh no,
cannabis. I love music, Joey, and I know you do too. So I grew up playing piano as a kid. I was in a post metal band in college. I had gauges, I had the mohawk, all that. And then most recently I got into like dubstep and bass music and house music. And I started DJing about 10 years ago. So great question. I could talk about this for a couple hours with you, I think. So
okay, let's do it like this because I want it to be quick. You ready? Rapid fire. Who's the EDM one? Ready, go.
Skrillex.
Okay, who's the rap one?
I wish I could say Kanye West, but I'll probably go Travis Scott.
Okay, who's the metal band?
That is a great choice. Let's call it Deftones.
Ooh, okay. House artist.
Above and Beyond, more trance. On the house side, I mean, I love Dom Dalla and I love John Summit.
Fire. Man, there we go. Okay, cool. So if you were going to throw a music festival, who are you booking as your headliner 3 days?
I'll do Skrillex, Radiohead, and Above and Beyond. That'll bring me a good cross-section of people, I think. You know what I mean? A cross-section of industry.
Where are you doing it? Is the Gorge getting the booking or are you going somewhere else? And
you don't
have to worry about the laws because in this example, Sungrown can bring it with them.
All right, here's the thing. I love the Gorge. Obviously, I could choose that, but where Hempfest in Seattle has a lot of history, you know, and it's been on the waterfront there, and it's not happening anymore. So I would love to get Hempfest rolling back up with the Sungrown twist on it and use that waterfront.
I love that. You know your strains, Marcus. You've been around long enough. You know a bunch of strains. You guys run the gambit. You know your strains pretty well. Okay, cool. Hit me with your starting 5 top strains all time you recommend someone try before they die.
All right, I'm going to show my age a little bit here. Okay, Sour Diesel, AK-47. That's my sativa backcourt, and then we'll do OG Kush, good small forward, right? Just always there for you. We will do, I'm going to choose some of my earlier choice here. The Blackberry Trainwreck. That's a good 4. Get some boards, hit some 3s.
And the last one?
9-pound hammer is the center.
Yeah, with the 9-pound hammer.
Got to anchor the whole team with that one.
Oh, man.
That's a great question.
What a great convo with you today, bro. I really appreciate you being here, man. Marcus, it has been a pleasure getting to hear about the updates with Sungrown, the collabs, getting to see some of the products. I appreciate the show and tell. Before we get you out of here, I want to give you the floor and give you the chance to speak to the people, speak to your partners, speak to the people that don't know anything about you. Just say whatever you'd like to say to whoever might be watching and looking you guys up out there in Washington and beyond.
Man, that's a great one. I appreciate you, man. I love our relationship. I think we have a lot of good things going. I would say like give good cannabis a chance. And I think there's a cannabis, that's becoming mainstream or price sensitive or however you want to say it, like lowest common denominator. But give good cannabis a chance and spend an extra $5, spend an extra $10, not all the time, but once or twice just to see what that gets you. You know what I mean? And like for someone like myself, like when you smoke outstanding cannabis or outstanding oil, it just connects differently. So that's probably after hitting a couple of my vape pens, but give good cannabis a chance is kind of my message,
Yeah, man. I love that. What a great message. Give good cannabis a chance. Give great cannabis a chance.
There we go.
You don't have to do it all the time, but it's definitely worth experiencing it. I used to run this campaign at Diego. Big shout out to the old fam, man, Lorenz and Jesse and Angie and all the old homies at that man. We had this campaign called Treat Yourself. Folks, it's okay to treat yourself sometimes. You got one life to live, and occasionally cannabis is going to make your life way better. And if you give that good stuff a chance, if you give a great chance a chance, that's 2 opportunities to improve your life twice a month right there.
There you go.
Be sure to tap in. Marcus, I appreciate your time. Sungrown.com is where they can learn more, find more. You guys can also, too, reach out directly. We're happy to share over the social media channels. I'm happy to share over any of that information if you guys reach out. Marcus, thank you again. Folks, this was episode 137 of the RMR Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Love you guys.